This video brought to you by the Saharic Media Group. Be sure to read the description for useful links. Hi, I'm Luke from the Saharic Media Group, and today I'm going to be bringing you another tutorial for 911 Operator. As you can see, my recording date is the 3rd of June 2017, and as of yesterday, I think late last night in the UK, a new update came out for the contributors build, which now means that the call editor, or game editor even, can actually edit calls rather than just publishing them from the workshop. So that means that we can use the game editor rather than using a text file. As far as I know, for adding custom translations and audio, the methods I've already shown are the methods to still be used, but for actually my first tutorial, as it were, where I went through the text editor and how to make a call, I believe we can now do that in the game editor. So we're going to jump in there and check that out. Now, just before I do that, for anybody who doesn't have this contributors tag here, so doesn't know how to get the game editor, what you do is you right-click on your game in Steam, you pop down to Properties, and then shift across to this tab called Betas, and from this drop-down you just select Contributors-Content Creators, and click Close. You'll get a update, so it'll be an extra download. It's not that big, it's, I think, between 250 and 300 megabytes. So, almost the size of the game, but that is fairly small anyway, so you should be absolutely fine with that. What I'm going to do now is just click play, and instead of playing 911 Operator, I'm going to select Launch Game Editor, and then hit play. Once your game editor opens, you should be presented with this screen, which looks completely blank at the moment, until it loads. There we are. What we're going to do in this video is go to Conversation and hit New, and we're just going to start a new conversation. Now, I've been watching a lot of comedies recently, and there's always the jokes about, oh no, don't leave, it's not that bad, I'm sure, and stuff like that. So I was thinking we'd make a prank call where somebody is calling up the police to complain about a bad comedian and how he should be fired, essentially. So ID is what you want your call to be called, so it's the ID that's here, so whatever I want the ID to be. So I'm going to put SO_comedy. Not too long, and it's descriptive. I'm just going to call the title Bad Comedian. If I can spell, I believe I have, and hit OK. So immediately in this screen we've got 911, what's your emergency? To edit this line, if I don't want it to say 911, what's your emergency, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change it to Police Emergency, and then just click here and it will update. You can also change the ID if you want, but I like using numbers, so 1 suits me fine. And this is going to be the operator speaking, so make sure operator's selected. And I don't want any after action report added from this one, that would just be a little bit daft. You can add your element properties here. I'm going to get slightly confused with those because I have never done them through this before, so we'll see what happens, bear with me, and I will try and remember what element properties are, that's what I mean. You can also update your workshop image here, which I will be doing later in the tutorial. One thing to note from my first tutorial is where I said at the top of your call you type equals generable once. You can also use type equals generable. Now the difference between these is that type equals generable, it will generate in any map forever. So it's exactly like all the calls that you keep getting on your maps normally. It just continuously generates randomly, mixing in with the base game and any other workshop calls you have. So it will just randomly generate. Now, generable once, which is what I told you to use last time before I understood the difference, means that it will only generate once on that map. So it's not for that shift, it's on that map altogether. So if you were saying playing Washington and you've got type equals generable once you've heard this bad comedian call once on Washington, you will never hear it again. If you then go to, say, Chicago, it will generate once again, but once you've heard it in Chicago once, you will never hear it again in Chicago. So that's what this generable once is. So now I'm going to add a new dialogue line, and this is going to be my caller, an ID 2, perfect. And just click out, add new. Right. It doesn't automatically select the new one, so you have to make sure that you select the new one rather than go deleting it like I did. So then my operator responds, yeah, it's not funny. What's not funny, sir? I'm going to give another operator option. I'm trying to work out how you get multiple options here. So we shall see. We shall see how this works. Now here, it's automatically giving me 2 callers, and then it's giving me an operator again. So it's detected that I have 2 operator lines here, and that I need 2 callers to respond to it. So this comedian, he's really boring, will be responding to "What's not funny, sir?" But if I just go back and click Show All and choose Epileptic Seizure, for example, if I click on this one, you can see that these, they turn green. So I now see that this is options. In the element properties, it's option equals. So we're going to go back and do that, and we'll also add our opinion effect, which I forgot to do. By adding the options, it highlights in green, and puts a tab for the ones that you can choose, and in red is the one it came from. So here it can only come from cons. That one, for example, yes block goes to block done, but it can come from uncle and auntie. So it's kind of a nice visual way of showing it, I think. I'm going to go back to Show All and jump back into the call we're making, which will appear up here in Custom Calls, because it hasn't yet been loaded into the workshop. Now I've lost everything I just did. Interesting. It would appear you need to click Save before you close, so let that be a lesson to us all. So now I've redone those lines that I just lost. I'm going to go back to, yeah, it's not funny, and add an element property, and have option equals. It doesn't give you a drop-down list to select from, which is a shame. I feel that a drop-down list of maybe the 4 most popular things that you're most likely things that you're going to use would be nice, but it doesn't. So you need to know these. Although it does give you that help file that you can look at, so you'll be able to find it there anyway. It also tells me that I've created element properties and not specified them. So you can see the development console coming up here having a complete fit that I've not sorted out. And yeah, it really doesn't like me for it. So I'm going to say option equals, and then you use the ID. So you can see the ID nicely displayed here. That's not just the order in the listing. For example, if I change this to that, you can see that the ID has now changed here. So it's not just the ranking, it is the ID. I'm not quite sure why it's complaining at me now, because I have no open element properties, but there we are. So we're going to do option equals 3, and add another one, option equals 4. Now if I remember correctly, the code for giving an opinion effect, so the amount of reputation points you gain or lose at the end, is opinion effect. I capitalize the E. I don't know if you have to, but I do. And then this is the opinion effect if you successfully resolve it. So this is if you send officers to the scene. Now this is a prank call, so I don't want officers going to the scene. So I'm going to set it to -1. So if you send officers to the scene, you get a negative opinion effect. If you ignore it, you should get a positive opinion effect. Is how I believe that works and how I hope it works. So that should now be updated. Okay, I need to master this updating thing. So I'm going to just do those again. I do not understand how I get it to save my options. I do not understand at all. Because you can see that I'm trying to do it, but the moment I click on something else, I lose my options. So I have not got a clue how to get it to save. So option equals 3. Hit enter, because that's how I save everything else. Option equals 4. Hit enter again. Are they saved now? No, they're not saving. So I don't understand how to do that. I'm going to work around it for this call and just go into the text document at the end and add to the options. That's most strange. I don't understand how to make it save at all. Because what if I click save once I've typed it in? Let's just try that and see. And I'm just going to go save. And no, they were there a second ago, but no. So I don't understand how that works, but we'll continue going anyway. You can't reorder them, which is a shame. I'm trying to drag this up to reorder them, but there is no reorder function. That's That would be a nice function, is if I could drag the lines to reorder them. But it's not a must-have feature, I'll admit. What is a must-have feature is working out how to save your element properties and action on end. I can't work out if that's me not being able to save it because I'm just being a numpty, or whether the software isn't capable of saving it yet. If the software's not capable, please fix it, Jutsu Games, because otherwise I still have to edit in a text document anyway, so it kind of makes the editor not so worthwhile. I'll admit it's a lot quicker for adding in text lines and stuff, because I'm not having to type open, sign, dialogue option, and so on, because this software does it for you. It goes, oh, I got a text line, it's a cooler. Okay, I just put dialogue line, and then I put ID equals cooler, and it does that for you, so it's a lot more efficient there, but it certainly would be nice to have the element properties and action on end working, or be told how they work. If Jutsu Games get back to me and I'm just not doing it properly, I will leave it in the description and on the Steam guide to saying how to do it. I did this for the translation where I could not work out how to get umlauts and stuff to appear, but they got back to me and told me that you just need to format the document differently, so I added that in the description and in the guide so that you now know how to do it, but without me having to remake the whole video, because that's just a lot of time. There's only going to be one AAR, so I'm going to add to AAR. How do I name it? Do I go to AAR and click a new one? Okay, so I've got a new AAR. I'm going to call it end. I'm going to add the text. Whoa, okay. Did not like that. Does not like me right now. I'm just going to delete that and try making a new one. I'm going to add new. I'm going to click on it and call it story. Okay, so what would appear happen there is... I don't actually know what would appear happen there. It just went really funny at me for no reason. But it's sorted now, so it's fine. Now here, none of these are automatically given AAR, but I'm going to select the hang up one, and I'm going to select AAR story. And hit enter, hopefully. And that has saved, so that's absolutely fine. That works. Now we also need to make our characters, so I'm going to go to the scene, add him. Right, here, this is nice. This is what I kind of like for the element properties, for it to have, by default you typed in text, but there was like a little arrow here where you could drop down and select a one from a list, a reasonably short list, mind you, not all of the features, because that'd be too many, but a reasonably short list of the main properties you'd be most likely to use. But this is nice, so I'm going to call him a witness. So we're just going to have that. Interestingly, you can add to AAR for the characters, which I didn't know you could do until now. But there we are. So his tag is witness. Now the text, this is his ID, I think, essentially. No, sorry, the ID is witness. The text is what you see in game, so I'm just going to call him cooler. And there's just the one person involved, so it's just the cooler. Now I think that's all I can do from here, because as I say, I can't get the element properties and action on end to work. So I'm going to click save and not make that mistake again. And minimize that. I'm going to open this up and go into my Steam apps. It's not in the workshop, sorry. Again, you'll know where to find this if you watch any of the previous videos. I have moved my game folder to an external hard drive rather than, well, it's internal, but it's not the one that my system's installed on. So it's not through program files and everything. It's quite literally Steam apps is directly in the main folder. Streaming assets, custom calls, comedy. Now I'm going to open that. Specifies the operator at the end, which is not how we've done things before. We've always had operators specified here. So the order's a little bit off, which is slightly confusing me, but it shouldn't be too bad. We've got hang up, that has added the AAR in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pull up a previous call that I've already made where I know it works, and I'm actually just going to pull up the prank call I did previously, so the SpongeBob one, Krusty Krab I think it was called, just to check. So we have Of course, we have no default specified at all, so I'm going to have to add that for everything, which could take a while. Because here you see we've got default, but there's none here. There's no default specified at all. Yeah, that's something that I'd like to know whether I'm not saving it or not. It's given all the IDs, it's put all the textons in. That's great. We want action on end, and for this one, so it automatically adds an add to AAR, but it doesn't add an action on end. So I'm going to have to add that in manually, because that's where I'm specifying the address. This one, it adds emotions in, which is cool for this one, but it doesn't add that for all of them. So I'm not quite sure what I did or didn't do to make it add emotions. So we're going to have action on end equals quotation action hang up, I believe is the correct one. We will know because it will either work or not. Now I've added it to all the lines, I realise that there's actually one line I don't want to add it to, and that's the end line where it has action hang up, because it's not going to go to anything in the future. So I'm going to open up the Cool editor again, because it's very nice in the way it visually shows this to you, so I can see what comes next. So after 1 comes 2. So the default, just check that is ID 1, is 2. After 2 comes either 3 or 4. So the default can be 3, and option 2 equals quotation 4 quotation. So that's added my second option. From 3 it goes to 5, 18 goes to 19, which then goes to 7. So now everything goes somewhere. I'm going to save. There's multiple options in a few places. I'm going to close that and go back to show all. And I'm just going to open up another one because it doesn't seem to have refreshed it fully. And back in here, it hasn't messed up my script. It has messed up my script. Oh no, 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 no. Ah! There's no options in my script anymore. Right, I'm going to go through and redo those, and I'll join you again when they're done. Okay, so now I've redone that after I lost everything. I lost my action on end and everything as well. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to copy it so that I don't lose it again, because I don't want to have to do that a third time. That's just ridiculous. What I'm going to do is just launch up the editor fresh, and hopefully it will work. Because from my previous calls, you can see it's showing me my options, so I'm not sure why it wouldn't be showing me the options for this one. But there we are. There we are. Now, so it's working. So I presumably didn't save it, or saved it in here and messed it up or something, because you can see that everything I'm clicking on, it's come from number 2. So option 4 has come from option 3 and goes to option 5. And some of them somewhere have multiple options. Like that one, 7 can come from 5, 9 or 19. 19 can come from 20 or 18. And there are some that go out to multiple options. I can't... There we are. 11's one of them, so it can be either 12 or 13. So that's now there and working. And it's also displaying them as option equals 12, option equals 13, now that I've added them via the text document. So once I add those via the text document, everything seems to work. And so yeah, if you liked it, a like's always welcome, but of course if you disliked it, you know what to do, don't you? And I would suggest that if you want more cool content, you follow me on this Steam Workshop, and if you want more videos on how to make cool content, for example, you check out the Steam Guide, or you subscribe to me on YouTube. So yeah, that's kind of my outro, I guess. And I'll see you guys in the next one if this video was of use to you and you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.